just started earlier by asking if there is anybody in the room that have never listened to a SenzaGen presentation. So I asked the question again, since the room filled up a little bit. Is there anybody here that doesn't know anything about SenzaGen? Nobody. You know everything. That's very good. Anyhow, thinking that there might be someone not knowing anything about us, I made this first summary summarizing what we do so that we are all on the same page when we start. In SenzaGen, we test chemicals. We test products that are out on the market, cosmetic products, cleaning products, paint, pharmaceuticals. We test them to make sure that they're safe for the patient or for the consumer. That you don't get an allergy if you put a cream on your cheek, for example. That's what we do. We test chemicals. And we do that without using animal experiments. The technology we use to do it is called GARD. I'll go a little bit more into detail later on what it means. It has a very high performance. This in comparison to animal testing, which has around 70% accuracy. This is because humans are humans and animals are animals, and we want to test human products on human systems, and that is what we do. Our business model is that the customer, for example, a pharmaceutical producer, they send their compounds that they want to test to us. We test it for them, and we send back the report to them, and they pay us, of course. Very easy. We have also started to license out the test to contract research organizations, contract labs. We set up our technology with them. They run the tests for their customers and send a report to them, and they send a license fee to us. So it's quite an easy business model. We do that to reach out globally and to reach out to various different customer segments, because as I will show you in a minute, we serve a number of industries. We serve a number of so-called toxicological endpoints. Our vision is to replace animal experiments in this testing business, and that's what we're working for daily. You've seen this graph before, many of you. I said before there's something wrong with my voice today, so excuse me if I sound a little male. You've seen this graph before. It shows the market for in vitro testing. In vitro testing is the opposite to in vivo testing, which is animal testing. And the market is huge. There's a huge testing market. For example, the cell-based test that we're in, the market potential there is 5.4 billion euros. It's enormous. But the most interesting with this graphic is that if you look here, 10 years ago, there was no market because all testing was performed on animals. So we are playing on a field that is growing quickly, and it didn't exist like 10 years ago. We have 3 products so far on the market. The 2 first that were launched in 2017, they test chemicals if the chemicals elicit skin allergy. That's GARD skin and GARD potency. And last year we launched a respiratory allergy product, and that is called GARD Air. There are a number of driving forces, of course, that we relate to and that help us in our marketing and everything. It's the animal testing bans that grows more and more. I'll talk more about it in a while. There is a need for better results, because if you test a product and say this is safe and you don't have a good test, you launch it on the market and it still gives an allergy. You have to draw back your product, and that costs a lot for you as a producer. So we need to have accurate test results. Also during, for example, pharmaceutical development, you want a more cost-effective way of testing as compared to animals. And we have the increased CSR, we are more aware about ethics. We want to be good people. We want to be good companies and not use animals. And this is also an increasing interest. So if we look at animal ban, the first animal ban came in 2013 in Europe in the cosmetic industry. And you can see on this map that this has spread. All the black countries, they have a complete animal ban already. And the blue countries have processes that are well advanced towards banning animal testing. And also, even in China, there is a movement moving forward, working for stopping animal testing, which is really good for us, of course, having the alternative. The other driving force was the accurate results. We need more accurate results than we can get from this little guy. If you test a lipstick, for example, in a mouse, it gives you the wrong result in about 25 to 30% of the cases. You want to move to a human case because the end customer is a human. So what you really want to do is to take the human being and put him or her in a test tube. You cannot do that, of course. That's not ethical and it's quite difficult. But what you can do nowadays, you can take all the pieces of this and put them together. You remember the Human Genome Project, where the entire human genome was sequenced. We know every code in our body. We know that now. We have this information. We have very advanced algorithms, and we have tools, machine learning tools. This is what you normally refer to artificial intelligence. We have cell culturing techniques. So we can bring all that together and really replace the human in the test tube. And that is what we do. We do that by growing human cells and looking at the genetic code, how these cells react when they get in contact with a chemical. And we see patterns through artificial intelligence if it is an allergic or a non-allergic chemical. That's what we do. I spoke about cost effectiveness. This is mainly in the pharmaceutical industry. There is a lot of years before you come from a first human trial until you get to an approval. I don't know if you agree with 12.9 years, Johan, but on average, something like that. It takes a long time, it costs a lot of money, and very many fail. As a rule of thumb that you need to, there's one that's missing there now, you need to test 10,000 compounds, 10,000 molecules to find one pharmaceutical. And if you then could have early on more efficient testing tools, you would save a lot of time and a lot of money. So that's where we're hitting the pharmaceutical market. So that's what we do and our driving forces. I'll go through now what we have accomplished during last year, working on our strategy and delivering on our strategy. We have very much increased our market presence. We are confirming our business model by building up contract labs in the world. We signed 2 license agreements, one with Eurofins in Germany. Eurofins is one of the 10 biggest contract labs in the world. They serve 42 countries and they have some 35,000 employees. And a lab in USA. This is a smaller lab, but they are very strong on the in vitro field in the safety testing in the US. So our test, the GAR technology, is up and running there and up and running there. And we also signed an agreement, a distribution. They are very strong on the testing of cosmetics in France. And we will continue working with them towards the French cosmetic market. We have a subsidiary in the US. It's now fully owned by us, and we have people working there. And we also took some initial steps in Asia. Our focus is Europe and the US, because there we have the biggest market and the most advanced animal banning. But we are looking at Asia, because things are happening very quickly, especially in China. So we have a granted patent in China, Hong Kong, and Korea so far, and we also have a collaboration or a cooperation agreement with a Chinese key opinion leader driving the ban of animal testing in China. We're not really focusing a lot there, but we want to be standing on the threshold when things happen, because then it's going to happen really, really quickly. We have direct sales still in the lab in Lund. We increased the number of customers test a lot. We doubled our revenue from the year before. And we have attracted some really, really heavy players out there. Croda, for example, they're delivering ingredients to the cosmetic industry. And they are actually taking one of their substances. They're taking our data into the REACH registration, even though we are not, as you know, not yet validated by the OECD. They still want to put our data in there to show the authorities that this is the best test and you should look at this data, because that will advance and make the grant of our products better and safer. So that is a really strong key opinion leader for us, or a case. Yes, we are on the regulatory side. As you know, we have sent in our validation reports to both ECVAM and OECD, both for guard skin and guard potency during last year. They told us during the fall that they will not be able to have our test up for approval in April in 2019 this year. They only meet in April. They only meet once a year. So we will have to wait until the next year. And for this reason, of course, we build on the strong evidence that we have from the scientific community and also from the examples that we run with our customers. And we focus on those parts of the market where they don't require any OECD test guideline. And that is mainly during product development, where you need to gather data rather than having a regulatory approval. We broadened our portfolio. We launched our third product on the market, the respiratory sensitization test, like I said, Guard Air. It's the first test ever. There are no regulatory demands for it. There's a lot of discussion going on for products to have respiratory testing, but the authorities have not been able to demand it before, but there have been no tests. That is also why we got a huge EU grant to develop this test, because they saw that there will be a future need for it, so we have to develop this test. So we've launched it now. It works well. We've had our first orders coming in, and it's very interesting. We also see a requirement from the customers for buying a combination of the Guard Skin and the Guard Air. This is mainly for occupational health. You know, in factories, when they produce chemicals, they need to know how dangerous it is so they can protect their workers there. And then it's relevant both for respiratory and for skin. So they want to buy the combination of those two tests, which is really good. So we can deliver the two in combination. We're also increasingly working on our platform. I told you early on that we need our contract labs to reach out, because we are serving so many markets. The technological platform that we have, we can develop new tests, a new test on that. We target then skin, the lungs, and also in the future gastro, like food allergies and things like that. We have launched products on chemicals so far, but there are also testing requirements for solid materials, for mixtures and proteins. And this can serve quite a few industrial segments, cosmetics, chemicals, etc. So in the new product development, we have two products that are quite advanced now. Is testing of materials for medical device. It's a huge market and there's a big demand. It's regulated by an ISO 10993, and that is currently now being rewritten to exclude animal testing and recommend in vitro testing. And we're working with them in there, so the GARD will be recommended as a test when this is launched as a rewritten. And then we also have mixtures, like the final products in cosmetics, for example. It's often a mixture. You have the formulation and you have all the ingredients in there, and that also needs to be tested, not only the chemicals per se. And for this, of course, we continuously work on building up our organization. We have from Baxter employed an experienced chief scientific officer. She's worked with product development before, so that's really good for us. We have people placed in the US since that became our wholly owned subsidiary, and we will continue, of course. This is the ad on our website, adding good people to the crowd, especially in the commercial team. Now that we are really seeing that there is a demand, we need product specialists, and we need application specialists to serve our labs with a lot of technical questions, actually, as they have. Looking forward a little bit, we need to do as well, of course. We are working towards our goal of becoming the global standard in animal-free testing, increase the market space and the geographies. So far this year, we've signed a licensed lab with Embryo Research Labs in the US, very active in the in vitro area for toxicology testing. We just signed it. It was communicated like a week or two ago, and we're going over there now, setting everything up so they can go out and sell for us. We will launch one new test this year in the material, the medical device area. We're guided by our financial targets that we were publishing in the fall. All this to make daily products safer. The EU Commission, which I said gave us this grant for the GARD Air, they have every year they announce one flagship product in health and one in environmental. And the GARD Air is their flagship product now, so they are planning a huge marketing campaign around this. So keep an eye on YouTube and Facebook for European Commission, where they bring up GARD Air as their flagship product, which is quite cool, actually. This is our board. You've seen these guys before. Peter is new. Peter is the former CEO of Probi. Peter's worked by building up the Probi organization, you know, Proviva, through distributions all over the world for the past 3 years. He left them in the summer and is now joining us on the board to help us with guidance for setting up the distribution network. In summary, we have, in a fairly short time, I joined the company 4.5 years ago. There was a patent application at that time. We have developed this test since then. We are continuously developing it into several application areas, and we are leveraging on the transformation process that is out there now, turning from animal testing to in vitro testing. And we will continue develop the GARD portfolio and drive sales internationally. Thank you.